is so great to see you.
Oh, my gosh.
Welcome to the show.
For having me.
You look fantastic. It's your first time on our show, but it feels like we've hung out or we talked or something. But
I know, you don't. We went on a date one time, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, of course I remember that. Yeah. I want to say congrats on White Lotus. I want to talk about it. You just nailed it. I mean, it was a home run, buddy. You were so good on that. But before we get into that, I want to say that we've had many guests on our show that have done impressions of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and great ones.
Who would have thought?
But if you're up for it, I'd love to show you a few of these impressions.
Oh, yeah. I think I know. I know some great ones I've seen on Instagram. Okay, yeah. Who do you got?
Chloe Fineman was here.
Oh, my God.
And here's her Jennifer Coolidge impression.
Oh, my God. Oh, I'm gonna make you a pie, dumbass. Yeah.
Is that amazing?
It is. That is amazing. You know, it's so weird because you don't really know who you are, ever, really. You know, in an objective point, you know, sort of perspective. But then you see people and you're like, oh, that's who I am? They do you and you're like, oh, all right, I'll take it. I mean,
No, but when you get in the zone. But the first time I think I heard anyone do an impression of you was when Ariana Grande was here a few years ago. And here's Ariana's impression of Jennifer.
God, you look like the 4th of July. Taking the dog, dumbass.
I know.
Come on.
No.
Ariana Grande crushing. It's a great impression.
No, unbelievable. But you know, you should know that it was sort of the beginning of a lot of cool things that happened for me because, I don't know, I had sort of, you know, I was going through a dead zone and, you know, sort of not much was going on. And then Ariana did this imitation on your show and you encouraged her. Yeah. And then this ball got rolling. I mean, you know, my friend who's like her age, Teresa, she was like, hey, you know, you should DM Ariana and just say, you know, because I thought it was such a good imitation. And I was like, no, she's got like 260 million followers. Those are robots. The robots answer the DMs. And we will never, ever get to whatever. And then I did it anyway. And then this response came back. And then the next thing you know, I was like going to her house getting fit for a wardrobe fitting for Thank You Next. So that was all because of Jimmy Fallon and, you know, yes.
Great, Thank You Next. Wait, this is amazing to hear this. So from that Ari thing, it all grew, and then, but do you do impressions?
I do, you know who I do is, I do people that no one knows what they sound like. Like, I did, I used to get to the front of a nightclub where everyone's waiting to go in line, and then I'd be like, you know, I'm Muffin Hemingway, who was like one of the, you know, Hemingway sisters that no one knew what she sounded like. And then if I had to get into a restaurant with my friends, we didn't have any money at that time, but if we wanted to get a restaurant, I would go, I would call up the restaurant as Eileen Ford, the modeling agent, and no one knew what she sounded like, not a lot of people, and I would just be like, hi, it's Eileen Ford, and I've got a bunch of my girls that would like to come, and they're all models, of course, and a bunch of them would love to come over to your restaurant tonight. And then, like, 20 minutes later, this very motley crew would walk in. No one looked like a model. Some were like 4'11". You know, everyone was like, and but you know, they couldn't get out of it. They'd already had the table, but that's what I do. And then we couldn't go to that restaurant ever again.
That's a great impression of someone that no one's ever heard of. Let's talk about White Lotus. When that script, because that was written for you, is what I heard.
Yeah, Mike had, you know, like, he sort of observed me on a trip that we went on. I think he sort of thought maybe I could do that part because he sort of, you know, he saw how, you know,
how you can, but you...
weird I was, yeah.
But but when there's no one else that could have done what you did. There's no one else. There's not one human being that could have done what you did on the show. It was perfect. You was a one of a kind.
Oh, thank you.
And it was amazing. And
thank you.
The delivery, just how quick and how, you know, oh my gosh, are you like... anyways, you originally, you go, I don't know if I feel like doing this.
I know, and you know, well, yeah, I didn't want to, I didn't want to do it because I mean I know a lot of people were on their Pelotons over the when COVID began and everything. I don't know. That was not my journey. I just sort of it was me and my friend Carolyn in my house in New Orleans, and we ate maybe 6 pizzas a day and then and then this part gets offered, and then I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And I tried to figure out these ways to get out of it with like a medical excuse or whatever like this, and then Mike sort of caught on to me because I know he caught on because he sent me a text in the middle of the night. I was in New Orleans, he was in LA, and he sent this text. My little phone dinged. I was just trying to think of something that sounded believable, like I had partial hip problems, where I couldn't turn, I don't know, I came up with all these weird things, but then Mike just said, in the text it just said, "Are you afraid?" And I was like, oh, Jesus, he's on to me. And then I still thought of trying to get out of it, but then I was over at my friend Chase's house one day, and she goes, "Are you going to Hawaii to do that job with Mike and everything?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing it." And then she said, "You know what? You're an idiot, and guess what? You're insane, and you're going." And just sort of a girlfriend sort of talked me off out of my insanity, because when you're actors, you can, this big moment can happen sometimes, and then you just blow it and go, yeah, I'm going to do that next year. I'm going to go on a trip, or you just blow it somehow.
Yeah.
And I for whatever reason, a good friend.
Wow, just said, hey, go do it. Snap out of it, yeah, and you can do this. And you went and did it, and then...
Yeah, and then, people really like Mike Wright is brilliant. He wrote a great show, and then, yeah.
Critics love it, fans love it. Congrats, it's well-deserved, all the nominations. I know they just announced the next installment of White Lotus is coming on HBO.
Yeah.
And they're going to change a lot of the characters, but all the fans are like, is Jennifer Coolidge coming back?
Well, I don't know. There's a rumor I'm coming back. I hope there's a rumor that Legally Blonde 3's happening. I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there. I hope they're all like, but I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know,
right.
but
knock on wood. I'm not
No.
jinxing anything. But,
No, but
you couldn't have been better in this thing, and man, I would watch this every day for the rest of my life. I didn't want it to end. It was so great. I want to show everyone a clip. Here's the magnificent Jennifer Coolidge in The White Lotus. Take a look at this.
yeah, he likes the first layer. Maybe, I don't know, but what about the second layer and the third layer? And then every step along the way, I have to worry about, is he gonna like the next layer? And then I get all afraid, like, how much do I want to show him? Is he gonna be repulsed, or is he gonna be alarmed? And at the core of the onion, Belinda, is just a straight up alcoholic lunatic.
That's not true.
No, it is. It is. And I just want to show my hand. I don't want to play poker anymore. I just want to skip all the layers and just go straight to the crazy and just let the chips fall where they may. And, just show them the core of the onion.
Yes! Jennifer Coolidge, everybody! All episodes of The White Lotus are streaming now on HBO Max.